Okay, here we are in lesson 4, where we're going to talk about the ugly house business. And first, I think we probably better figure out what the ugly house business is. It's the process of controlling or buying and selling houses in need of rehab through one of two methods. You're either going to be wholesaling them or retailing them, and this lesson is going to be focused on wholesaling. Wholesaling is the easiest way that I know to make money in real estate today. You simply go find a property, make an offer on it, you get an agreement to buy it, and then you flip it to someone who intends to probably rehab it and resell it and or live in it. We do have two markets for selling them, and that is to owner-occupants and to investors. And that's what we're going to cover through this series of online training. Retailing is something that a lot of people think you must do when you get started in real estate. I'm here to tell you that it is truly the hardest way to make money in real estate because it requires all of the costly entanglements, like the contractors and the rehabbing and the time constraints involved, and all the process of getting through that before you even get to the point to where it's ready to be presented to a buyer who then has to go get a loan on it. All of that requires a lot of time to go by, months, not days. And there's a lot of money in it. I've done a lot of retailing. I still do retailing today. But for a new investor's point of view and for the purpose of trying to get you to make some money quickly, we're going to stay away from retailing for right now and focus on wholesaling. Now, here are some folks who have done some retailing. So there is money in it, as evidenced by the constant flow of letters that we get. Here's one that netted $37,000. in 60 days. Says we love this business. After feelings of frustration and getting the same response over and over again, we were determined not to give up, and ultimately they didn't, and they made a bunch of money by not giving up. Here's another guy named David who made $75,000 profit on one house that he retailed. That's them in the picture in the lower left-hand corner. So obviously there's big money in this. So there's plenty of room for you to make a lot of money in retailing, but again, let's focus on the easy way. So you can do both, and many do both, but if you want to get a check quickly, then I think we ought to stick to wholesaling so you can get in and get out, and within a few days get your check. The two fastest ways to make money in real estate are wholesaling and subject to. On the last lesson, I touched on how you make money on the subject to deals. We're going to get deeper in that in the future. Now, here's the advantage of wholesaling houses. Number one, they require very little training. And in fact, you probably downloaded my complete wholesaling course when you signed up as a Gold Club member. If you didn't, you might want to go check into that. I would strongly suggest that you start listening to that and utilize what you learned on it. You need very little money or credit to be in the wholesaling business. There's no risk except for the size of your earnest money deposit, and that's going to be as small as $10 in many cases. You can generate huge lump sums of cash quickly, as you'll see, and you can work from home. Most people do work from home, in fact, and a lot of your wholesaling business today is done online, so you really don't need an office. It requires small amounts of time. Of course, like anything else, it can suck up a lot of time if you don't use your time wisely. So we are definitely going to discuss how to pre-screen prospects so you put little time invested into that. There's no tenants or buyers to qualify. All your buyers are going to be cash buyers. There's no loans that they're going to have to go get, and if they are, they're private loans with no banks. There's no long-term delays. I expect you to be in and out of these properties within 15 to 30 days max. And in some cases, I'd like for you to close on them a few days after you put them under contract. Closing meaning your buyers bringing in the money and buying it from you. High income potential. The minimum that I want anybody to make is $5,000. I prefer you shoot for a $10,000 minimum. And I've got people all around the country doing anywhere from 2 or 3 of these per month. And in fact, I have one gentleman here in Arizona that last year did 122 of these wholesaling deals. And in fact, there are big companies built that do nothing but wholesaling out there right now, and it all started with their first deal. So this is a fast track to your job replacement. At $5,000 or $10,000 per easy deal that you never take title to, I expect you can do the math and figure out it won't take long for you to come up with enough money to replace your job. Here's a few letters that I have received from students who have done wholesale deals. This is from David, who got his first check for $6,500. And I remember he wrote, I cashed the check so fast to make sure it was real that I didn't take a picture, but here's the stub. So stubs are good, but I would prefer that you actually stop and take a picture of your checks when you get them, because you're going to wish you did if you don't. Here's one from Tim from Texas. He made $19,933 on his first wholesale deal, and he was skeptical, and clearly states that he was skeptical, as many people are. Didn't think he could make so much money full-time, much less part-time. Here's one from Manuel from California. I like this one. He made $27,000 wholesaling a house, and he quickly figured out that the janitorial business that he was in with 83 employees was sucking all the energy out of him, and I believe he told me he went home and closed the door and sent everybody home when he discovered that he could make as much money wholesaling a quick little house as he can make in a whole year operating the business with all of the headache and grief. This is Victor from California. He says, thanks for the financial Viagra you gave me when he netted his first 43 grand. Sent me a box of cigars. He says, I enjoy the smokes. He says, enjoy the smokes I sent you. I hope they're the type you like. I don't know much about cigars, being from East LA. If it smells funny when it's lit, I stay away because the cops aren't far behind. So I enjoy getting these letters from all of our students who are making money and take the time to write me a letter. Sometimes I look at these letters and it kind of keeps me going. And when you ever get down to our building in Jacksonville, Florida, you'll see that these letters are all over our walls. We call them our wall of fame. So come see us. Here's one from Aaliyah, also from California, named almost $102,000 on one deal that she did. And she writes down here, while I was doing the deal, I found my husband and quit my job. So what can I say? We're a full-service company. So here's some advantages. Number one, you will not be doing any repairs or hiring any contractors when you do wholesaling. It's really just that simple. We're not buying it, therefore we don't have to fix it. We're selling it to our investor buyer. They're doing the work, and then they're retailing it out to the qualified buyers. There's no license required. This does not require a real estate license. We're not selling houses for someone else. We're agreeing to buy them and then flipping or wholesaling them to our buyer, where the principal does not require a license in any state. There are some disadvantages. One, it's limited to houses that can be bought well below market value. In the wholesaling business, our whole goal and objective is to buy them at a deeply discounted price, or agree to buy them at that. And in today's market, with over 2 million bank-owned properties on the market, that is not a difficult thing to accomplish. I'm buying properties today from banks through realtors that are at 1985 prices. We're really getting the good deals today. So this makes wholesaling easier, because now you can buy them cheap enough to build in a larger spread when you sell them. Make no mistake about it, though, your buyers are going to want to buy them cheap as well. We'll get to that in a second. The disadvantage is you only get one payday. Unlike some of the aspects of real estate and some of the other techniques that we'll discuss on these lessons, there is no residual income. You only get paid once. You're in, you're out. However, you do get, the trade-off is you don't have all the grief you have in some other aspects of real estate, nor the time factors. So there's advantages and disadvantages to pretty much everything you do in business. And another disadvantage to wholesaling is that you will not achieve your potential as a wholesaler. I don't care how many houses you can flip or how good you get at it. There's an awful lot of money you're leaving on the table by not implementing all of the strategies that we discuss in this series of lessons that I've learned over the last 30 years of doing the business. And in higher priced areas, you're going to find it a little more difficult to wholesale houses simply because of math. The more capital the buyer has to raise, then obviously the less people there are out there capable of doing it. But make no mistake about it, we have people wholesaling properties in every state, and in the high dollar markets like San Francisco and DC and anywhere else where there are people who have houses for sale. So yes, you will be able to work in the high dollar markets, but yes, there will be fewer buyers, but on the other hand, your paydays will be much larger. If we're dealing in $300,000 houses, we're not going to settle for no $5,000 to wholesale a house. More like $25,000 to $50,000 would be our minimum starting point. Our target properties are low-priced houses only. Now, my friend, listen to this, because if you're going to get into wholesaling houses, and you're going to start with trying to find the high-priced houses at deeply discounted prices that you can flip to other buyers, you're going to have a lot harder time doing that in the really pretty stuff. You got to stay down there in the low-price market, the first-time home buyers, the bread and butter houses as we call them, the houses that we can get the best deals on, and the houses that attract our rehabbers the most because they can find the buyers that can afford them the most because they're on the lower end of the marketplace. Pretty much in most areas of the country today in this market, you're going to be your target properties will retail now after renovated somewhere between $75,000 and $175,000 depending on where you live. Now again, that does not apply to every place, but that applies to a large percentage of the market. If I had to take a guess, probably covers 80% of the market in America. I want them priced well below the after repair. In other words, the asking price on these properties needs to be way below the after repair market value. Our target prospects right now, sometimes the asking price on these things, on these bank-owned properties, we're thrilled to pay it because the asking price is so low. We're going to have to get into that later to make sure that you have your math straight, because I do not want you going out and firing offers on properties when you really don't have a clue why you're making the offer. We don't use the wild guess theory here to make offers on real estate. We're going to get to that. And the property generally will need work, and in fact, a couple of years ago, I'm looking for the major rehabs, but I'll tell you today that we're buying bank-owned properties that need not more than $2,000 to $10,000 worth of work regularly at really good prices. So the more work they need, the better deal you're going to get. But frankly, today's market, I'm looking for the ones that don't need rehabs more than about $15,000. Some cases, $20,000 tops. And I find there's an ample supply of both, honestly. I'm looking for sellable areas where people can qualify for a loan, want to live. In other words, if you want to quick flip houses, stay out of the war zones, because your only exit strategy in the war zones is landlords. However, if you get outside of the war zones, your houses will look the same, but people who want to live there and qualify for the loan know that it's a safe place to live. So your rehabber, the guy who's going to buy it and fix it and flip it, will have a market of homeowners who want to live in that area. If you're looking for these properties and you're buying them in the dangerous areas with bullets flying around, your exit strategy is going to be difficult. And the property is almost always going to be vacant. If it's bank owned, it is always going to be vacant. Well, rare exceptions, but so you're looking for vacant, ugly houses that are priced well below market in good areas. That sums it up. Here's some examples of some that I bought at an auction recently. Here's a property that I paid $32,500 for at an auction. Has an ARV of about 125, and actually it needs more than 5. It turns out it needs about $10,000 worth of repairs. But I just wanted to show you it's just a little old bread and butter box, nothing anybody's going to get excited about. But look at the numbers. I bought that thing very cheap. Now here's a little old box, little old frame box. This is a little 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, and not in a war zone specifically, but frankly not far out of one. This house is only worth $80,000 in excellent shape. We did in fact renovate this property and did in fact spend $15,000 on it. But look what I paid for it. Paid $17,500, spent $15,000 on it, and it's worth about $80,000. Nothing wrong with that math, and you'll have no problem finding these kind of deals out there today. Now here's one we've sold. We paid $42,500 for it at an auction, and I think we spent $80-some-odd on it. Didn't sell it for $135,000. Actually sold it for just over $100,000. But what the heck? Paid $42,500 for it, spent $9,000 on it, and sold it for just under $100,000. Frankly, those numbers will work in anybody's math. Here's one that we still have on the market. Paid $42,500 for it. Spent about $9,000 on it as well. We'll probably wind up selling it for just about a little over $100,000 as well. Even though the ARV is $125,000, if we're going to retail them in today's market, you better be willing to sell them less than the ARV. That's why if you're going to buy them and rehab them, you better darn sure better buy them right to make sure that if you do have to lower the price, you still got a nice profit spread in the deal. In summation, for those houses that I just showed you, I have a total ARV of about $400,000. I have total repairs that are probably closer to $50,000. and I purchased this entire batch for $135,000. Now my I won't sell them for $400 if I renovate all of them, and my repair is a little higher than I originally estimated. But frankly, if I'm buying houses at 34% of their R, folks, I'm doing okay regardless of what the repairs are and regardless of what I sell it for. You should not have any trouble finding properties well below 50% of the ARV in your marketplace today if you're looking in the right places and for the right prospects. The more rehab the house needs, the more money you'll make, whether you're wholesaling or retailing. Generally, that is true. But again, I don't want it to need. In fact, I'll give you a rule right now. If you're dealing with these low-end properties and it needs more than about $20,000 worth of rehab, I'd be very, very, very careful about moving forward with it. My target prospects right now are the ones who need that need the less rehab. Yet the banks are asking such a low price that I'm much more apt to buy one that needs a few thousand than I am 20,000. When frankly I can get them for about the same price out there in this crazy market we're in today. All right, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you what ugly is to make sure you see ugly. Here's a house that a student submitted to me from Ohio. That just goes to show you what the houses can look like. I've had houses look worse than that, but I can tell you when most people walk into that house and they see that toilet, they're going to run. The smell's going to get them. So while I've got this picture up here, just let me tell you something. That toilet down at Home Depot is only $100 to replace it, whether it's got crap or no crap. So actually that toilet ought to be what drags you in to be excited about this prospect, not steer you away. But no owner-occupant's going to want to buy that house with that toilet. Therefore, when you find them like that, the perceived value just drops through the floor and just makes it easy for you to buy them at a deeply discounted price. That toilet will not scare away your rehabbers. It'll excite them. Now, here's one that I got from a student from Rod Bellamy in Canada. You're going to love this house that he took pictures of that he bought. Look at the cigarettes in this place. I can't imagine how somebody could live long enough to pile up cigarette butts like that. Look at that. Isn't that something? I'm wondering if they actually knew what a trash can was in this house. Holy moly. Look at the pizza boxes. I'm assuming that whoever lived in this house is still alive. My guess is if they are, they probably won't be for long. Look at that. Now, as we're going through these pictures, folks, I just want you to think to yourself, everything you're looking at is nothing but trash. One big dumpster out in the yard and some labor will totally clean this house out. But when you see houses like this, and you will if you're in the game long enough, what do you think this does to the perceived value of the property to people looking at it? To us investors, it excites us. We love seeing houses like this because we know we're going to get them really, really cheap. Look at that. And look at this computer. Yellow. There's so many cigarettes being smoked in the house it actually turned the computer yellow. I guess that's all it's good for now is a place to put out cigarette butts. So I just wanted to show you that so you can see what ugly really looks like. All right, whether this will work. Well, it'll work in any place where there are people with houses for sale, but again, I want it to work. I want you to stick to the low price markets. And it works very well today with the bank-owned properties that are out there. Now, the downside of the bank-owned properties are that your minimum deposit is going to be $1,000 to get one tied up with the contract through a realtor. And so if you can't put up $1,000, then you don't want to be in the bank-owned property deal or game unless you get somebody else to supply the deposit for you. Because when you do put that deposit up, it is at risk if you don't close. So I don't really care where you live. There are always going to be a market for you to buy properties cheap that you agree to pay cash for well below the market value. There are 5 steps to your success. We've covered these in the past and we'll continue to cover them because this series of lessons is all about how to implement these 5 steps. And in the case of wholesaling, same 5 steps. We got to locate the prospects, pre-screen them, construct and present offers, and that's just math. Follow up with the prospects, get rid of the suspects, and close quickly. In this case, we're going to close quickly by finding our buyer and getting them to the closing table to bring in the capital. We're going to cover all of these steps in the upcoming lessons, including how to determine the market value, which is somewhat of an art in today's market, how to estimate the repairs quickly without using a calculator, what to offer, pre-screening the sellers to figuring out which are the best target prospects, where to find these deals so we can keep a constant flow of them coming, and where to get the money if we actually want to close on them ourselves. That'll be a special series of lessons right there. Preparing a simple agreement, which you will be doing if it's not listed. If it is listed, the realtor will do it for you. Finding buyers quickly, and we got a mechanism in place now to where that's all on autopilot and done online. The days of advertising in the newspaper and doing all of the things we used to do are over. Everything is electronic today. And of course, getting a check. This whole series of lessons is mounted with the expressed intent of you getting to that bottom one down there as quickly as possible. So coming up in lesson number 5, we're going to start that process with how to determine the current market value of a property in a volatile recession market. I'll see you there.